Welcome back into Wave Listens Live. I'm Michael Vanover, welcoming now a familiar face to the program. Attorney Jim Desmond is joining me. Jim, welcome in.
Hey, Michael. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Of course. It's good to have you here. All right. So obviously this town is buzzing right now. We've got Thunder Over Louisville coming up this Saturday on Wave, as well as Oaks and Derby coming up here in a few weeks on Wave as well. If you would, when you have these kind of events and all of these people migrating downtown, for example, for Thunder, and some adult beverages are consumed, there's inevitably going to be more accidents. What are some key takeaways for people to be on the lookout for as they head into Thunder Weekend?
Well, of course, you got to do the defensive driving, but your car's got to be insured. I'll tell people right off the bat, if you're in an accident, well, if you can get the police to show up, fantastic. It makes it a lot easier to get the police report. It gives me a lot of information down the road, or any other attorney. The other thing is, if it looks bad, don't hesitate to do the ambulance to the emergency room. People always hesitate all the time on that. If your car is insured in Kentucky, we can either get it paid, the medical bill paid for that ER visit, either through the no-fault insurance or your health insurance. But right off the bat, one, you're not a doctor, you don't know what you've suffered, and two, it sends the message to, basically an insurance company, if you are going to do a claim down the road, you were hurt. You're not just going on to Thunder activities or something like that might be. And obviously we're getting into auto accident conversation, and real quick, if you would, for the viewers at home that aren't familiar with Desmond Law Office, let's talk a little bit about your, what you focus on, I guess you could say, and really all that you do. All I do is car wrecks. That's it. But again, I have a lot of clients over the years that I am very happy to have. This morning, a couple called on other things. I was in front of the computer, pulled up Google, and said, okay, this guy I know who does this kind of law, and he's good. But yeah, all I do is car wrecks. I do it. Everybody can reach me on my cell phone. Because again, back to Derby and Thunder, if something like that happens, you want to be able to get hold of an attorney. You want to know what are you supposed to do. You're right, no doubt. And that number on your screen, 502-609-7657. Okay, so you touched briefly, Jim, on auto insurance. There are a lot of things about insurance that I think the average person may not know, like, for example, the $10,000 PIP liability, or the just the different things that the underinsured, overinsured, all of those things. Kind of give us that brief overview, again, as unfortunately there's going to be some more accidents coming up. Sure, no worries. Kentucky's a no-fault state. Everybody gets that wrong. They all think that means I can't sue you if an accident happens. No, it means the vehicle you're in, whether it's yours or somebody else, covers the first $10,000 of your medical bills and lost wages. Now, people come to me all the time and say, well, why should I have to use my car insurance if I wasn't at fault? The law says in exchange for that right, we gave up the right to recover the first $10,000 in medical bills. So what happens is your insurance company pays the medical bills to begin with. We make a pain and suffering claim against that fault driver. Your insurance company comes along in the back end and says, hey, we shouldn't have had to pay this $10,000. We want our money back. The other side that I kind of hit on more, that was fascinating me today, state minimum insurance is $25,000 per person. Okay, so you can be on the road with just $25,000 per person. That was passed in 1976. I looked it up today. That's equivalent to $5,000 of today's dollars. So basically, yeah. So if you wanted to make it equivalent today, the insurance company should be offering a minimum of $100,000. But again, they don't. And so the problem you have, again, is back on your own insurance, you have to have uninsured and underinsured coverage to protect you. Uninsured means that the guy has no insurance. Your insurance acts like they insure him. They give us the same hard time. Underinsured, they don't have enough insurance. Whatever I collect over here on your behalf, I can now go against your company to say we didn't recover enough. Your claim is worth more. Let's talk a little bit about when somebody is injured in an accident. A lot of people, they need their car back. They need their vehicle back. They've got to get to work. They've got to get to doctor's appointments. Unfortunately, that's not something that you can really sue for, right? You can only sue for money. So can you explain that a little bit to me so I can understand a little bit better? If your car is in an accident, first thing I need is the police report, because we know nothing about the other person. So if you're at the scene and you can get the information from the other person, his name, his insurance company, the policy number, we might be able to get it moving a little bit faster. But they're not going to buy you a new car is what I mean. You can only get the money. So, and that's sometimes so important, right? Because they need their car to... What you're talking about is the total loss. There you go. Okay, so your vehicle sustains damage, and the company says it's a total loss. Clients say all the time, I don't want to total my car. I'm like, that's not your decision. It's the insurance companies. By law, if the repair costs are 70% of the value of the vehicle, they are required to total it out. And if they do so, then they owe you fair market value, what it's allegedly worth. Usually they'll only put you in a rental car 10 to 14 days. So a lot of people lose out. I'm driving an older Toyota down here today that I don't normally drive, but it's probably got another 50, 100,000 miles in it. And again, somebody totals it out. It's a
$8,000 car at best, okay?
Yeah.
And then you're stuck going to buy a new car, which is a little bit lousy these days, to say the least. But again, it's one of those that we don't have choices. And that's back to something I'll say again about attorneys. Everybody on TV advertises this, they advertise that. You know, it's all about what we've allegedly done over the years, which is driving me nuts these days. That's another story. Any good attorney, if you're going to hire somebody, you should know what their game plan is. And it should start with the car on up. I have some firms that I know of that will say they won't cover the car repairs or handle it. And I'm like, I'm not going to go to a suit over it, but that's part of my job to help that client, guide them through it. If it goes well, I shouldn't have to do a lot. But it is, you know, part of my job to, again, try to get them in a rental car and also try to basically, you know, help figure out, is it a fair value or not? I had a case the other day that I argued for loss of use because the car was in the shop for 2.5 months. And, you know, we recovered over $4,000 for loss of use, what would have been a rental car equivalent. So
I think it's important to say when you see some of these messages out there, or hear some of the things, you know, you don't just get money because you were in an accident. It depends on how you were injured. And obviously, the greater the injury, the more money that you get typically. Can you
yeah, I'm smiling because you're giving me an opportunity to bash my competitors on TV. They make it sound like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
I just want for the people that are out there questioning, do they have a case?
Yes.
For example, how do they know?
And the advertisers, they all make it sound like it's so simple, or this is our job. No, it's, you know, the insurance companies don't just roll over. They really are more interested in the facts of the case. You know, how bad is the car damaged? Have you had previous claims? You know, how long was your treatment? Was the other driver drunk? All these type of things. They all go into it. So again, it's and the thing about an attorney, this is what I don't like about the TV advertising, even though I'm doing it these days. Hopefully my ads are not this way. They all say, we're going to get you a check. Well, if I get you a check for $100,000 and I pay out $98,000 to everybody else, what good was it?
Right.
It doesn't do any good. Half of my job is to keep people out of your settlement and minimize basically what comes out of it. Because again, back to the law. What does the law allow? It allows only for the recovery of money. It doesn't allow me to say, okay, at-fault driver, take my client to the doctor.
All right, somebody watching right now that maybe was in an accident 6 months ago, 9 months ago, they think, I've waited too long.
Nope.
There is a statute of limitations. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Every case and every legal case of any kind has statute of limitations. In Kentucky, the standard one is 1 year from the date of accident. For auto accidents is 2 years from the date of accident, but we can extend it. I don't talk to my clients about that much. And the statute of limitations means that if you don't file it with the proper court by that 2-year anniversary for a car wreck, then the claim is barred like it never existed. So again, I'll tell people don't wait. And the other problem you have with that is from day one, you're making your case, okay? I tell people, look, I don't want you to treat if you're not hurting, but I also want you to go to the doctor, because if you're hurting and you don't go to the doctor, you look like you weren't. And I say that my clients' medical records are like the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb trail for the adjuster. It makes the case.
No doubt.
So they can wait up to the 2 years, but I will tell them to get to the doctor like that.
A lot of good stuff here, Jim. We appreciate it. Again, if people want to find out if they have a case, right, they can do that by giving you a call on your cell phone, 502-609-7657, or you can always visit attorneydesmond.com. Jim, thanks so much for being here.
Michael, thanks for having me.
Good stuff as always. Have a good Thunder, good Derby season. All right.
Sounds great.